Hi everyone, it's Alyssa and this is Always Cinema Chic, the place that encourages you to go out, get dressed up, and watch a movie. So today I am reviewing Call Me By Your Name, and that stars Timothee Chalamet and Armie, and it is directed by Luca Guadagnino. And let me say that sometimes there are movies that I go into and I just expect it to be so wonderful and so great, and it's just really high on my list. And every now and then there's a movie where I have lower expectations and then I walk out of it just completely mesmerized. And I can definitely say that I am of the latter for Call Me By Your Name. I walked into it and I thought it was going to be good. I knew it was nominated for a Golden Globe, but I didn't really understand just how obsessed I was going to be with this movie. So at this point, it's been over a week since I've last seen it, and I can't stop talking about it with people, and I've already bought the novel and started reading the novel. This is really a masterpiece of cinema, I thought. So the story is rather simple. It is about the 17-year-old boy, Elio, who's played by Timothee Chalamet, brilliantly, I might add. And he lives in an Italian villa in the summer. His parents are academics. His father is a professor, his mother is a translator, and every summer for 6 weeks, his father invites an assistant to come and live in the home, and this year it is Oliver. Now, Elio is very much a, you know, kind of calm, tranquil type of person. He certainly puts on a bit of an act with his friends, but when Oliver comes into town, he just walks in like a tornado, and it feels like an absolute storm is brewing from the moment that he walks into this family's life. So everything about Oliver is offensive to Elio. He does not acclimate well to quiet Italian country living. Instead, he just comes bursting in, always making his presence known, and leaves every scene saying later, which Elio finds beyond offensive. But as time goes on, Elio finds that he just wants to be around Oliver more and more, and these real genuine feelings start to emerge, and you see Elio starting to feel more comfortable with himself. And while at first it felt like Oliver came in like a tornado and he hated him, he starts to realize his feelings and gets more and more comfortable with those feelings that he has. Now, Elio certainly doesn't act like any 17-year-old that I know. He speaks 3 different languages fluently. He is a musical prodigy, and he just reads all of the time just for pleasure. So he has a very mature type of stance, but at the same time he still acts like a teenager and has these very playful mannerisms. But the relationship that develops between Elio and Oliver is one of genuine love and just real respect and this desire to be around the other person all of the time. And this is all thanks, I think, to Timothee Chalamet's performance, who, you know, I knew who he was. I saw him in Interstellar, I saw him in Lady Bird, and, you know, he was fine. He was just there. I didn't think of him as like this exemplary actor or anything, but clearly he just needed the right role that was going to challenge him, because now I'm certain that at 22 years old, this man, he's quite young looking in it, is going to be one of the best actors of his generation. The performance is just exemplary, and he so deserves that nomination for Best Actor that he got for the Golden Globes. And he's just so layered. He allows his character to be a teenager who's often confused or embarrassed by his feelings, but with youth also comes a certainty, because he hasn't been rejected by life yet, and his enthusiasm in the film is just infectious. It's certainly Elio who pursues the relationship, as we see Oliver weighed down by society's conventions. Oliver is clearly attracted to Elio, but he rejects him so many times because he feels like the relationship is not right for the society. And let me just add that this movie does take place during the 1980s, so there is even more tension there for the characters in this budding relationship, but the desire that these two feel for each other is just so strong that at one point they can't deny it, and the relationship just sort of happens. And let me say first that Armie Hammer has never been one of my favorite actors. I will actually go out of my way to not watch movies that he is in. The only time I have ever really seen him in a film was in The Social Network, and I thought, you know, he was good in that because he's playing these entitled, snobby twins, and I always felt like that's who he actually is. And every other time I've seen him in a film, even just briefly in clips, I feel like he's acting. I can just tell, you know, what he's thinking, and he just doesn't feel genuine. But in this movie, I am eating my words because the character just felt so layered and genuine. He has this kind of false bravado that he puts on to the rest of the world, and that's what's so incredible about these two characters, is that they are totally opposite in the way that they present themselves to the rest of the world. And so Elio seems rather conservative and quiet, but in his private life he is full of passion, while publicly Oliver seems full of passion and joie de vivre, but he's actually quite afraid of what the world will think of him. He's not afraid to wear a Star of David necklace in this really small Italian town, but he is terrified of anyone finding out about the relationship that he has with Elio. He's also so concerned with Elio. He doesn't want to hurt him in any way or taint his childhood in some way. He's constantly, you know, ridden with guilt at certain parts of the film, and you know, it really is thanks to Armie Hammer's charm and the complexity that he brings to that character. And I can't believe that I'm actually saying that about Armie Hammer. And the movie also is just so beautiful with that lush Italian setting, and you're in the villa and you're in the town, and it's very simple the way that it's shot. There aren't all of these symbolic shots throughout the film. Yes, you do get like the peach and the apricot. It's incredibly obvious, but for the most part, there's a great simplicity in the way that the film is shot, and I think that works to its advantage and to what the storyline actually is. All you need is this kind of muted color palette, and then you'll see Elio and Oliver in these primary colors showing that they are bringing life into each other's lives, and you get it immediately. And what's really important in the film is the writing and the connection, and I can say the last 15 minutes of this movie, they were just some of the most masterful cinematic moments that I've seen. So there's just I'm not giving anything away, but there's a scene towards the end where the father is having a conversation with Elio, and it's just the opposite of what you would expect that conversation to be. And then the credits at the end, don't leave at the credits, because you would be missing some of the most beautiful moments of the film. I was blown away by the credits. That's how, you know, well thought out this film is. And this is the last in the trilogy that Guadagnino was making about Desire, but he's already stated that he wants to make the sequel to Call Me By Your Name, and I can't wait for that. The way Desire is presented here is not in a flat or boring way in which it's only, you know, physical appearance. There's just so much more to it. No, this is the kind of desire where you love every molecule of a person, the way they think, look, act, when all you ever want is to simply be around that other person, and that being separated is a pain that is unbearable. To me, this is the type of desire that not many high school students, especially in America, ever experience. And for that reason, it didn't feel like this typical teenage coming-of-age movie. It was really a film about finding yourself and understanding what a soulmate is at any age. If you were to ask me, I would say Oliver at 24 years old, this was probably the most intense desire and love that he's ever felt in his life. And so I think that's why I just attached to this movie on such a grand scale. I have such a guttural feeling of just like loving this movie. It just connected to every emotion within me, and you know, I I will say that I cried throughout the film so much that I had trouble breathing. Honestly, that's how attached I was feeling to this movie, and I really think this is something that everyone just needs to see. I put it as the third best movie of the year, but to me it could just kind of, I could even see it being number 2. I'm just beyond obsessed with Call Me By Your Name right now. So it really is about finding love at whatever age that is, and finding a connection with another person, and what it really feels like to have a soulmate or feel like you're making that first connection. And you know, it was absolutely beautiful. And now for the grades. So for film and artistry, I feel like simplicity is the name of the game here, and Call Me By Your Name deserves an A+. This is masterful filmmaking that felt lyrical. I felt like I was just being transported into this other world, and I just was feeling every emotion from these characters. The acting is top-notch. Even the score is really just so fitting and perfect, and there's certain songs from the 80s that they use that just, it fits that moment in the film so perfectly, and I just thought the choices were all brilliant. And in terms of watchability, I would give Call Me By Your Name an A+. I can't wait to buy this on Blu-ray. This is a movie that I just know I will watch again and again, because it just, it made me feel so much, and I just love movies like that, and I will watch those types of films again and again. And already, just having read the first, you know, few pages of the novel, I can see how well this film captured the tone and the feeling, the essence of the novel. And you know, having already just read a couple of pages, I already know that I would recommend the novel as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you saw the film, please leave a comment below. Give me a thumbs up if you like the review, and subscribe if you haven't. And remember, it is always in fashion to go out, get dressed up, and make it a cinema chic night. Bye everyone.